Hey, Monkey Nation, let's talk prepping for a minute. If you haven't done so, Monkey Werx has put together an affiliate program with My Patriot Supply. And right now for the month of May, if you jump over here and get 3 months worth of emergency food prep, you can actually get $200 worth of really cool gear. And that is for this month, $200 worth of free gear for every 3-month food emergency kit that you buy. You get that $200 worth of gear while supplies last. That is monkeywerxprep.com. Head over there and take the necessary steps for you and for your family. This is the time to do it, not once things start to already begin, because you won't be able to get your hands on this stuff once things go hot. So again, monkeywerxprep.com. We'll see you soon. God bless. Monkey out. All right. Hey, welcome, folks. Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. This is going to be your SITREP. It's around 11 a.m. Central Time, coming to you from the great state of Texas. It is May 8th, 2023. And without further ado, let's hop over here to our mini board. If you would, hit that like and subscribe and bell for notification. It helps the channel out tremendously, and we could use it. So let's get over here. This is Skyglass, as always, sitting at around 194. I've taken the liberty to pull the T38s and the Tex 2s out of the mix. That's about 60, roughly equates to about 60, a little under 60. And just looking at the numbers, one thing you will notice within our list as you look at the United States, and this is happens all the time this way, there are no fighters. If you get into the Fs over here, it's pretty much just blank. Every once in a while, we may see an F-35 or something along those lines pop in, F-16, F-15, maybe an A-10 like this one right here. You get a single A-10. But for the most part, those guys aren't giving their locations out on purpose, all right? And so the way we are able to detect whether or not we have a lot of fighters up is by looking at the air refueler count. So if we look at the air refuelers right now, you can see they're kind of spread out across the United States. We'll look at that here closer in just a minute. But matter of fact, let's go ahead and get over to our watch list this morning. And just notice we've got some transitions going on. That's going to be a Navy bird coming out of California. There is the Habal balloon again. Just like we see with the civilian contracted aircraft, the balloons are doing the same thing. That one is over Texas right now, kind of up in between Oklahoma and Texas. And then we have our regular little aircraft that we see, doing survey stuff across the country as well. And let's see, down into Florida, it's a little bit full. Some NOAA birds, some Homeland Security birds. And then if we kind of dip around a little bit, you're going to see we got some P8s in there. We've got more surveys. Red State LLC, that PA-23, or those couple PA-23s are going to be survey aircraft. And we're going to talk about those here in just a minute as well. Then up the northeast, you'll just see more survey aircraft for the most part. We do have one, let's see, that is, I believe, a survey as well. And then that's going to be one of your gray birds. That's Phoenix Air coming out of D.C. Again, that's they do a lot of agency work, if you know what I'm saying. And let's get over to Europe and take a look what's going on. It is kind of light in terms of aircraft up today. And I don't know if that's the calm before the storm or just a regular Monday. It seems like it. Those are going to be, by the way, those are balloons that we're looking at. That one's going to be a spy bird. You can see it's got the that surfboard on the top there, checking out some areas down below. It just looks like it's just getting airborne and coming down. Then, of course, we've got our Brio 66 that is up now. And then this aircraft right here is going to be, notice it's running in and out of Iran. Not sure what to make of it. Looks like that is, I believe, Thailand is who that belongs to. I think that's the president of Thailand, actually. I'm not 100%, but you'll see it does kind of jolt over there into the Southeast Asia. But there you have that aircraft that we've seen that one before when it came to the United States. So, but yeah, I was saying that the aircraft that you see, let me back this up just a little bit right here. These balloons, again, the balloons that you see, the high altitude ones, that's going to be German intelligence, all right, German Air Force intelligence. So let's get over to the heavies. Notice we only have a handful. You've got some aircraft that look to be running back and forth from San Antonio over to Biggs Army Airfield. Those are going to be C-130s. More than likely, that's Texas National Guard as they're standing up shop down there. But we do have a handful of C-17s, but not a lot. You can see some headed westbound there. We get out here to the East Coast again. We got a couple C-17s that look to be headed down to like Puerto Rico. But for the most part, it's all C-130s across the United States. Now we get over to Europe, and you'll notice there's those C-17s I was telling you about. A three-ship headed westbound. And then we get over to Europe, and it changes. We've got more A400s. You notice the purple lines there are going to be A400s. The yellows are going to be C-130s. You know what I don't see? C-17s. Very interesting. Last 24-hour traces, again, no C-17s. Look to be just kind of spread out, scattered, smothered, and covered, as we like to say. Just not a lot going on. I mean, it is very, very light, as always. Okay, so again, for a Monday, and maybe we do have a case of the Mondays today. It doesn't seem like we're getting a great deal of traffic there. Let's go to the refuelers. You can see we've got a little bit of light traffic in Europe, and I'm going to hit the button here to get us over to the U.S. because for some reason it was really laggy on me. And let me just fast forward us over to the United States. There we go. Will save us from getting the spin cycle. And then just, you'll see United States just peppered. We've got about 24 air refuelers up total. Notice a two-ship headed down to the southern border of Texas. And we got a lot of activity here in the middle of the United States. And then up the East Coast, we got a little bit of stuff going on south of Virginia Beach and then up over kind of the D.C. metro area as well as Florida, down kind of over the water near Tampa. And that's going to be your refuelers. Now let's talk 3-day surveys. And this is just the last 3 days. I think it's around roughly 20 flights or so, 22 flights. But just notice that it is still coast to coast. It's a little more spread out. You'll see more transitions. Those long lines are going to be the transitions. Again, they're looking at stuff in Florida. And I think we've peaked maybe for the, from the survey standpoint. Again, Northeast, I mean, how many different angles and looks could you possibly want to get over one area? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And again, I'm going to transition us over to Europe. And you'll see here, just notice south of, that's down in Sweden, but just beating a path down over that area, which is really unusual. Again, we've tracked this company. We know they do, they look for nuclear stuff and dirty bombs and just all kinds of different things that they do, as well as the LiDAR surveys. But that's Europe for you. Okay, now let's talk stuff that's going to get really interesting. This is 60 days, folks. And I will tell you, it took me about an hour to load all of this. Last 60 days, over 2,000 flights, coast to coast. And these are survey flights. There is really no stone unturned. You'll see areas where they don't have a lot of flights seem to be kind of out in the country, right? The areas where it's just not much out there. So that tells you this is population related, all right? And you can see the all the way up from Minnesota, all the way to Maine, all the way down to Florida. I mean, just stacked. 2,000 survey flights. Remember, these are about 12 to 15,000 foot up. They're not super high altitude. And they, for the most part, are LiDAR, which means they are basically getting kind of a 3D lay of the land. Now, the thing with LiDAR is you can look at a whole different set of components. You can look at buildings. You can look at topography stuff where you're looking at the land and rivers. And there's just a whole just set of things that you can do when it comes to LiDAR and what they have the ability to look. Elevations, there's just a whole bunch of different things. So, but as you see, over the United States, it is coast to coast. And let me see, I'm going to fast forward. I don't know if I got Europe in there. I did not pull Europe in because it was lagging on me. So we're going to leave it at that. But 60 days, over 2,000 flights. What in God's green earth are they looking for? I don't know. But very, very concerning, especially over the populated areas. we originally thought that this was tied to railroad studies or surveys, and then it quickly became evident that it is not, and that they may be capturing that aspect of it, but this looks to me like they're either mapping a battlefield or they are looking for something in particular, which I don't know. So, okay. Now we're back over here to Skyglass. Let's get into the news cycle and see what we've got going on. We're going to start out with Flashbang. It looks like today he puts his britches on around 11 a.m. Or does he? Maybe he doesn't. Nothing would surprise me more. But we've got, looks like he is making remarks about protecting consumers relative to flight delays and cancellations. And what I find pretty interesting is that for some reason, they put in all caps that the Secretary of Transportation will be participating. Of course, he doesn't know anything about transportation or supply chain. That's clearly evident. But the fact that they put that in all caps, I thought was interesting. So maybe they really want somebody to see that. I don't know. Keep in mind, too, that Buttigieg is actually... he is a graduate from the World Economic Forum. So, yeah, just putting that out there for you, okay? And then it looks like down here he is going to host a screening of American-born Chinese, the celebration of Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So there is that. Let's just move on. So we talk about Flashbang, his policies, and all the other goodness that comes with that. Yeah. All right. Biden, McCarthy aim to break a U.S. debt ceiling standoff as a default crisis looms. Pointing this one out first as we go look at the border here in just a minute, something tells me that if we continue to see the border chaos coming, which is about, I don't know, a week away, roughly, May 11th is when Title 42 drops, that this right here will just go the distance. I think this is going to be their leverage to basically keep Title 42 instated. We'll see what happens. They may just let the wheels come off. I would. I really don't care about the U.S. default on a loan because our spending is out of control. The only way to get it in control is to stop allowing it, right? All right. So here we go. Speaking of out of control, Zero Hedge, big article here talks about California defaults on $18.6 billion in debt and basically putting it on to employers to pay the bill. So this was actually COVID money that they got, and they, I guess, were the one of only a handful of states that have yet to repay it. In fact, it does talk about the states that didn't pay it back yet: California, Colorado, Connecticut, and New York. Everybody else out of the 22 states that actually took the money have paid the debt back, except for California, who has the largest one here, $18.6 billion. I feel like I need to put a pinky to the face here. All right, let's go over here to this one. All right, we're going to talk border here for a second. Texas takes preparations to secure Mexico border ahead of Title 42 ending. So this is Operation Lone Star. And it looks like Greg Abbott is putting out additional National Guard and Texas Army down to the border to get the stuff secured. A big part of what they're doing is not only trying to finish construction of fences, but they're also putting out a sea of razor wire. And so it would not be fun trying to cross that or be pushed into that for that matter. But it looks like they are making some preparations as well as flying some folks into the interior of our country. We'll look at that here in just a second as well, and then busing them. So here's one for you. Abbott basically shreds Biden. He was on Fox News just the other day, and he says this policy is basically solely falls on the shoulders of Flashbang, who, by the way, they just released his, I guess, approval rating for folks below the age of 30. He's at 26%, and that's probably slightly inflated. And then for people above 30, he's at 36%. I even find that to be probably inflated. I don't know that very many people actually approve of his policies or anything to do with him at this moment. So Anyway, as we brace ourselves, it looks like Abbott is basically calling a spade a spade. And then let's get over here to this. This is going to be, let's see, iAero or Swift flights. You can see you only have 2 on the board right now. It was chock full a little while ago. Note this one that's coming from Valley International, which is a Texas border, headed to Seattle, Washington, Boeing Field. For some reason, I feel like that is probably bringing folks in, if I had to guess. I know that we've been deporting them as fast as we can, but I do feel like there are some flights that are being taken interior to our country where we are bringing people in. Just call me crazy. And then this one here, Alexandria to El Dorado. That's actually a prison location, a third-party prison in Alexandria. It's a 72-hour holding facility, and it looks like they're getting the ride back down to Bogota, Colombia. So, right. Now, speaking of border crisis in our country, let's take a gander here. This is going to be the Baltic Dry Index. Just notice that it starts here. It is just continuously kind of like, I don't know, multiple dead cat bounces, as we say. And this is from July of last year into now. So we're coming up on about a year's worth, and you could see it again continues. If we back it out a little further, you could see where it really peaked here at about 33.97 and then started the descent. Notice here, again, it was at a peak, which was last year at 33.80, 87 roughly. It's now at 15.58, so it's about half of what it was. Again, why are we looking at this? Because this is an indicator from a ship perspective, cargo ship, the volume that is being moved around the world. And so when you see that volume drop off year over year, that gives you an indicator that the economies are around the world actually slowing down too. Okay, this is going to be your dollar. It's 101.23 at the moment. Just notice we got some injections here and here just after 4 a.m. It looks like around 5 a.m. this thing did a big bounce, and then it bled back down to where it left, and we continue to see that. My guess is if the dollar does collapse, they will slowly let the air out of the balloon, and we will watch this line start to drop well below the dollar rate. All right. Okay. Let's take a look at the NOTAMs. We will pop up just so you guys can see. Let's go here first for the TFRs. We got a little bit of weather moving across the center of the country. This is going to be the next flashbang location. Looks to be headed to New York. This is, again, I don't call it the red zone. I call it the brown zone. You guys probably figured that out yet. Or the senior living center is within this. But if you go over to Iraq, you've got the green zone. And naturally, this should be called the red zone. And if Trump was in there, I would probably call it the red zone. But this is now the brown zone. And that is not an accident, all right? If you see these boxes out here, these are actually power outages. These are heavy power outages. Looks like the weather that just went through took out some power. And then, again, this looks to be, if I look at the dates on these TFRs, starting, where are you? The 10th. So around May 10th looks to be the time frame for that. So 2 days out, he'll be doing some traveling there. And then let me see if the Trump one is still down here showing on the board. Interesting. Oh, there it is right there. Okay. And that one is for Trump. All right. Okay, we're back away from that. Let's get into the big picture, the NOTAMs, right? That's going to include TFRs as well as other things, mill exercise, mill operations. Notice we got some boxes off the East Coast, probably danger boxes if I had to guess. Still have this stuff that's wrapped around Florida, some things going on in Tampa. West Coast down south of the border, upwards north of Los Angeles. And then we've got this box out off the coast. Don't know what it ties to. We can click on it and see. Don't see any indication on what that really means. All right, and then we get up here to Alaska. And note, I want to say, I think this right down here is where HARP is going to be located. And so nothing going on there, but it looks like we got quite a few military exercises going on as well as this. This is probably tied to, or at least this may be tied to where we just had the accident that took shape. Got some really interesting data on that one. I'm not going to share it because I can't confirm it, but they're saying that the cause of the helo crash, the two that collided up there, was due to them chasing an object. That's all I have for that one. So it looks like we still got some exercises or some warning areas going on over in Southeast Asia as well. And we get over to India, still got stuff going on up here along the border of India, Pakistan. And then, of course, over on this side, notice Denmark has their own little box going, Sweden as well. And the survey area for what we're looking at is actually north of that. It's up here closer. I think Stockholm is up here, but it's down kind of in this general area. Okay, that's going to be your NOTAMs. Let's get over to the cyber attack map, and we'll let that marinate for a second. As you can see, again, very one-directional, 8 months in a row now where this thing has been on a pretty consistent uptick. This is one of the more reliable ones out there in terms of the Bitdefender, in terms of cyber threat map. It kind of is a broad brush, covers a lot of different things, but you can see everything is coming inbound to the United States. We get over here to this. We're going to talk a little bit of Russia stuff now. Ukraine situation report, it says Russia rains incendiaries on Bakhmut. And you can see it's lit up like a Christmas tree. Pretty amazing footage, actually. This is from a drone of the area. You wouldn't want to be on the ground because, one, it makes it very, very hard to breathe. And two, it catches everything on fire. The stuff is super hot. And so for them to go and drop that on the area, as you can see, we've got some videos down here too that just kind of show, you can just kind of see that cloud that hovers in there. Would not be good in terms of trying to breathe, like I said. But yeah, it's pretty bad stuff. And that looks to be kind of their go-to. We've seen them do that several times now, but this continues on. And I would imagine if it ensues further in and away from that general area over into kind of deeper into Ukraine, that you'll see a lot more of this. Okay, we have another intercept. This time a Russian jet intercepts a Polish plane over the Black Sea. He probably didn't venture too far off, but just over the Romanian border is where they engaged. And so it looks like there was obviously nothing happened, but they sent him packing. So it looks like the minute they got over the Black Sea, they were there to greet them. So continue to watch that, but it looks like the Russians are paying very close attention to what gets out over the Black Sea right now. All right. Now, Ankara, this is Turkey, basically rejects a U.S. proposal to transfer S-400 air defense systems from Turkey to Ukraine. Yeah, Turkey basically said, pack sand, we're not going to do it. And that's just my take on the situation. Keep in mind, too, that Turkey is very pro-Russian. And again, like I've said before, I'm very shocked that they're actually allowed to continue in NATO, given the relationship with Russia as well as Iran. So we'll see if they continue to stay into NATO. But I have a feeling when lines are drawn in the sand that Turkey will probably back out of NATO and take, Russia's side. Okay. All right, let's look at the camera flights. We've had a multitude on and off the board today. This one right now, the only one we currently have up, looks to have taken off out of Darfur, and that, I'm just seeing, looks to be landing in Bahrain. It's at 11,200 feet, 346 miles an hour, but that's the only one that's up. That is going to be troop related. Very confident of that. More than likely, it's a 767-300 based on the aircraft type. So it looks like we are repositioning some troops. And then let's go over here, Biggs Army Airfield. It has been kind of light, but we do have some Sun Country that came in from Minneapolis, St. Paul. And then looks like from there it went to Fairbanks, Alaska. More than likely that was moving some troops. We're going to keep our eye over on the Asian Pacific side of the house and look for an uptick probably in the next 2 weeks. We'll be looking for companies that are doing the cargo moves to see if we have anything additional movements headed to Asia. But word on the street is that Asia is going to see a little bit of an uptick here in the next 2 weeks. So we'll see if that holds. But there also, this is going to be Topeka, Kansas. And I'm only pointing this out because, again, you've got a Swift flight coming in from San Antonio. More than likely, again, like I said, and then it went down to Austin, Texas from there. More than likely, my gut tells me they are moving immigrants from San Antonio up to this location. Could be putting some troops, but I doubt it. I just feel like that coming out of San Antonio, 737-300 aircraft. It's a small airplane. More than likely, they are bringing some folks up there. And then notice it went to Austin from there. Okay. And we'll probably see more of that, honestly, if Title 42 doesn't get extended and it basically collapses the southern border. Then I would look to see more flights coming to the interior as they get them out of Texas and move them up to different locations. Remember, they're trying to collapse the border in Texas because if Texas goes blue, then they will basically control the White House for the unseen future, all based on the scoring system that we currently have in play, right? So if you have California and Texas, two of the biggest states, plus New York, you're basically going to control the board, right? Okay, now this is going to be Dover. Let's see what we have here. We do have an Air Transport International coming in from Fort Dix, and an Atlas Air coming in from Memphis, which is kind of an unusual location. 747-400. And let's see if we've got it leaving there. So yeah, from there it leaves, turns into a camber flight, and it heads to RZE Poland. That's a forward operating base. So it looks like we're still seeing equipment or troops headed to that zone and location. And then this one, I'm not really sure what that is, but it's a big one. And that's headed to Israel, and it's a 747-400. That's interesting right there. Okay. Again, that's Dover to Israel. All right, this is going to be Ramstein, Germany. Air transport coming in from Portsmouth. We got a camber flight coming in from Ostend. I don't know where that is. And then we've got a Western Global coming in from RZE. It's an MD-11. It could be troops, right, tied to that. The little Husky flight, that's going to be C-130. More than likely looks to be coming in from Amari. And then if we look at what's leaving, got a couple reach flights on the board, that Husky flight rolling back out. And then we've got a SPAR 76 coming in from Terceira Island, which is an Air Force base over there. And that's going to be one of your blue and white dignitaries coming in. All right, here's your RZE. Now this is going to be the proof in the pudding. Remember, we said the camber flights dropped off the other day significantly. We'll see. I'm seeing a bunch of camber flights on the board right now. Let's see what type of aircraft they are. That one coming in from Nuremberg, that's probably troops. This one, 747-400, coming in from Travis Air Force Base, California. Probably equipment. Dover, probably either equipment or things that go boom. And then this MD-11 coming in from Bangor, Maine. So looks to be pushing a mix of both troops and equipment. Inbound coming into a forward operating base. That's the number is back kind of to the elevated state. Like I said, Friday was very unusual for it to drop off. From there, we've got an Atlas Air leaving to an unknown location. This one headed back to Nuremberg. Atlas Air, again, 747. And then the Western Global looks to be headed back to Ramstein from there. So continue to watch the board. What we're looking for is to see, I thought maybe we saw a plateau. Again, this is Ukraine. This is Poland. This is the forward operating base right here. Not far away from the Ukraine border, down tucked into the corner of Poland. But we're looking for this to plateau. And if it plateaus, then that would indicate we've got all the equipment that we need in play to do the spring offensive. If we keep pumping it in, then more than likely that spring offensive isn't going to happen, or they're just preparing for when things do go hot. I just don't think they're going to leave it to the last minute. They're going to get everything into play. They're going to get their plans into play, and then they're going to make a push and it'll be a one-time push. So we'll watch for that. Again, we also see a lot of equipment stuff going in a little further interior in Poland, as well as over here into Luxembourg, which you're going to need, right? That's your replenishment. So you want to get that a little further away from the front line. Your front line stuff is going to be things that are getting pushed into the battlefield immediately, and then your replen will come in after the fact. Okay, National Cargo is hot on the board today. You've got 5 flights up. Everything leaving from, excuse me, Joint Base to Anchorage, Seeb International, which is Muscat, and then Amsterdam and Madrid, coming out of Madrid. So they're kind of all over the board. Equipment-wise, most of them are going to be the big 747-400s, and then we've got a little 757-200 there. It looks to be going from Joint Base down to, Guantanamo Bay. That's always interesting. All right. It's about time for troop rotation in Guantanamo Bay, so that may be what we're seeing there. Okay, and then Western Global, looks like we got 2 747s on the board, one coming from Anchorage to Huntsville, the other Chicago out to Tokyo. So we'll see if it comes back. And more than likely, these coming in and out of Chicago were carrying in the past, carrying artillery stuff, right, in and out of here. So been moving a lot of equipment from here over to here, which tells me that we're probably not going to fight a big war over when it comes to China and Taiwan, that we are really kind of pushing our focus into Europe and Russia. All right, Omni Air, looks like we've got one coming out of Perot Field, which is going to be Fort Worth Alliance. And then it looks like we have one headed down to Tasmania, maybe coming out of Southeast Asia, I think. And you can see it headed over Australia, it looks to be. And let's see. Oh, sorry, Auckland, New Zealand. I said Tasmania. Tasmania's out over here. Sorry, down here. So that's, Auckland, New Zealand, coming out of Bangkok. Very interesting. And then this one, St. Martin, which is out in the Caribbean out here. So that's interesting. 2 very odd spots and locations for those guys. All right, let's go over here to the Gestapo. Let's see if they've taken off yet. It doesn't look like it. They are scheduled and looks to be delayed, but that is going to be in 721 AL. That's going to be coming out of Manassas. That's going to be your FBI, a.k.a. Gestapo. Going to be airborne here shortly, and don't know where they're headed, but we'll keep an eye on it to see where they go from there. So, all right, listen, that is going to wrap us up for our SITREP today. Again, the surveys off the chain, over 2,060 days. It looks to have plateaued, but we still see, we had about 8 up today when I ran the numbers for this morning on the watch list, which is, it's low. It's about half of what we normally see. But they seem to be going over the same areas again, which is interesting. All right. So anyway, we'll continue to watch those. And then, of course, let's see what happens if we're looking for that plateau to occur in Europe to indicate that we are about to go into that spring offensive. We'll continue to watch that as well. So that's it. You guys, listen, stay frosty out there. Keep that powder dry. We'll talk soon. God bless. Monkey out. Check out the latest gear and products at monkeyworxus.com.